So we have a little bit of refinement to do on our form. When we put the values in, as long as we select a shipping method of free, everything totals up okay. But when I pick one of my other shipping methods, you can see that the numbers are not calculating the way that we want them to. So we're going to need to fix that. The reason that this is happening is when we collect these values, they are coming in as strings. JavaScript knows that they're strings, so it's wrecking some havoc with some of our other statements that we have in our script. When we use our plus operator down here, because the items are strings, it isn't treating them as if they're numbers. So to make sure that they're numbers, and JavaScript understands that this variable that we're getting should be a number, we can use a built-in function called parseInt. And this is what we're going to do. We're going to come up to the variables that we have created up here, and we're going to add the parseInt function, and I'm going to open some parentheses, and then I'll close the parentheses after the value over here. So now that we've wrapped this whole thing inside of the function, we'll get back a number. In addition to doing this, there is something that we should do that is just considered good practice when we're working with parseInt. Because we're working in base 10, we should include an argument that is 10, just to make sure that we know exactly what we're doing here. So what we'll do is after our value, I'm going to put comma and I'm going to add the argument of 10 to my document like so. Now there is one other situation that we need to take care of. In our form, if the user does not fill out these form fields, we have placeholder text that's 0, but we need to actually implicitly specify that if there is nothing entered, we want it to be treated as a 0. So we can do a little JavaScript trickery to be able to accomplish this. There's an operator in JavaScript called alternation, and this is used for situations where you want to say do this or this. So in this case, I want to make sure that when I get these values back, if there's nothing in here, I want to make certain that it is 0 and not the JavaScript. I'm going to use alternation to say either give me this if it turns out to be a real thing, or set this value to 0. And so how we can accomplish this is after the closing parentheses, I'm going to use two I-beams and I'm going to pass on a 0. So this is just going to get the number if it turns out to be an actual number, and if nothing's entered, it'll set it to 0. And now that we have this, I'm going to copy paste this so that it is going to function on all of my numbers right there. So if we save our page and if we refresh in the browser, now when I enter values in here, you can see that when the free shipping method it's 18, but if I switch to the US mail, it goes to 22, which is the actual value. And if I go to UPS, it goes to 24, which is the actual value. So now I can change these numbers and they will update, and my script and math is working correctly. The next issue that we're going to need to tackle is that if we change our state to California, which has sales tax, you can see how the number that we're getting is not a very friendly number. We want to round this number so that it appears with only 2 digits appearing after the decimal, so it will display as money normally would display. I'm going to come into the variable that we've already created for estimate. First of all, we'll add a string of a $sign so that the value that is going to appear is going to display with the $sign. Then we're going to use plus, and then I'm going to surround some subtotal plus shipping costs inside of parentheses so that this mathematical calculation will be applied before doing the rest of the little line of script. And what we're going to add here is we're going to add 2 fixed. And in the parentheses, we're going to pass on a number of 2. And what the 2 fixed method does is it converts a number into a string and it keeps only 2 decimals. If you wanted another number of decimals, you would just pass that on into the parameter that we have right here. If I save my page and if we refresh in the browser and we enter in values and select California as our state, you can see that now it's populating this field with a $sign, and it's making the number appear like a nice friendly number. So now our form is working in the way that we want. We've solved some of those little issues and everything is working well. In the next exercise, we're going to just add that text to the page that's going to kind of summarize what the user picked.